whether it is
Religion takes away her human rights. All religions takes away her human rights. It's just too bad human rights don't actually exist.
Islam, whether it is like the Christian right, whether it's the Orthodox Jews, everybody targets on women first, and our human rights go out of the window. So that's why women vote liberal.
Well, first of all, I mean, you can't get rid of women. I mean, sorry, you can't get rid of religion out of politics. That just fundamentally doesn't make any sense. That's not something that's actually possible to do. And second of all, I'd like to actually know what your prescription is to fix this problem in terms of the birth rate crisis and in terms of the demographic collapse that's happening in Western countries and the fact that they have to bring in swaths of Arabs and South Asians and everything from the third world. What actually is your solution to that?
Well, it depends what solution you want, right? Do you want a moral solution or you just want a solution? If you think birth rates are declining, then there's a lot of ways to have kids. You can be making kids in a baby factory. I mean, like you can't just
What?
extinct. You can have surrogacy. You can have women that just want to have kids. You need to give women, what would I say? Because you can't work and have kids and all that. So we always have to create a safe environment and what is that word, we have to give some kind of incentive to women to have kids, right? You're not going to be working then taking care of kids and then doing all the household work and all that stuff. You can't do it. So if you are having kids, then okay, yeah, you're going to get 2 grand for per child for this amount of time. You can stay home, look after your child. You got to give some kind of incentive, right? There's no incentive for women to have kids. But like I said, you're not going to just die if you think your civilization is just going to extend. There's a lot of women that want to have kids. Pay them the money, and your race
Pay
isn't
them the
going to die.
money.
There's a lot of ways to do that.
Okay. So
So she's what? She advocating that the government just takes care of women, huh? So she's substituting a loving and caring husband for the government, huh? So either way, she just wants to be taken care of in order to have kids. She just doesn't want a stupid icky man to do it. She wants I guess, the male government, huh?
baby factories, first of all, we can create some sort of like forced baby factories. That sounds very feminist. And you also said that they can't just work and have their children. They can't just work and have children. Yeah, no shit. That's what we're saying. They can't be in the workforce and being expected to be mothers at the same time. So if you have this worldview where you want women to be in the workforce and women to be, closing the pay gap, whatever that is, then you actually can't solve the problem. So you haven't given any sort of accurate solutions to this problem whatsoever. You basically just said a bunch of things that were kind of incoherent, if I'm totally honest. You didn't give any actual prescriptions, or you didn't give any accurate solutions to this whatsoever. And also, in terms of these incentives that you're talking about, they exist everywhere. Go look at the Nordic countries, look at the Scandinavian countries. They have all different kinds of incentives. Look at what they're doing in Japan and South Korea and places like this. They don't work. So tell me, what is your actual solution?
Well, see, you're asking me because I don't see it as a problem. And you will ask this to a lot of women, they don't really think the birth
Yep.
rate is declining a huge problem, right? It's a men's problem that the birth rate is declining. So you guys need that solution, right? So for me,
It's a men's problem that no, it's everyone's problem that the population is declining. It affects everybody. It affects the human population. It doesn't just affect men.
it's not a problem. And I am a single mother. I work, I
Of
take care of my
course.
child, I do everything. It ain't easy, but women are doing it, right? Like, and that's what I'm saying. Even if you're giving them incentives, women are like, no, we don't want to have kids because we have learned from the past that most of the responsibility of the child, physical, mental, everything just lands on us. And, it's too much work and we just don't want to do all that work, right? So the problem is with you guys. Like I told you, I gave you that option. You can go and make babies in a factory, right? Most of the guys are having babies and leaving them anyways. So, okay, so I know that you have a problem with this whole birth rate and stuff. Now, and you don't want women to have abortion. So let me just give you a scenario. A woman chooses to keep that child, right? But the man is not with her. Now she's a single mother, right? You're going to come and criticize her still now because she's a single mother, but she chose to keep that kid. Do you still think she did the right decision or she's going to be frowned upon now because she's a single mother?
Yeah, I'm happy to get into that just after we address what you just said about the fact.
Yeah, don't let her get off of that, Jake. But I mean, yeah, obviously it's great that she kept the kid. Obviously that's great. But yeah, we do look a little bit down on you because you should do a better job of choosing the men that you sleep with. Again, a lot of people, women and men, they're just sleeping around, but women are the gatekeepers of that stuff. All right. You're the one who's in charge of again, unless you're a grape victim, you're the ones who are in charge of letting men sleep with you. So, yeah, that is why you get looked down upon, even if you're a single mother, because you didn't really do a good job vetting there, did you?
Fact that you don't think that the declining birth rates are a problem, because essentially what you've just said is you don't care about the human race going extinct. You don't care about the very culture that you moved to in Canada, about Canadians actually eventually getting bred out of existence. The very culture that you've come to, and you've begged them to be a part of their system, and you've begged them to look after you escaped Pakistan. Now Pakistan is going to come into Canada, is going to replace your demographics. The birth rates don't really matter to you. It's a man's problem. But the Pakistanis are going to come in and they're going to actually enslave your grandchildren. If your daughter has children, her children are going to live in Pakistan, in Canadistan, whatever you want to call it. So
Canadistan.
how is that not your problem?
If you're talking about Pakistan and them coming and replacing, I don't think that is a possibility. But like I gave you an example, you don't have to go out of extinction. If worse comes to worse, you guys can have baby factories. There's tons of women. Believe me, there's tons of women out there that want to have kids. Tons of them. You guys can mass produce babies. Believe me. Okay. I'm telling you, if you put out an ad tomorrow, okay, that we want to just reproduce white genes. We're looking for blonde
I love how Jake is just laughing as she's talking.
women with blue eyes, and we're going to give you each kid that you pop out 10 grand. You are not going to get extinct. Human race is not extincting, because we can see the population in China, India, Pakistan, Africa. Human race ain't going nowhere. No, not for a while. It's not, right? So I don't know why you're so worried about it. I think the population has just been increasing and increasing and increasing. So I don't know how you say that human race is going extinct. And again, we are not coming here and taking over. My child is a Canadian. She doesn't even know anything about Pakistan. She doesn't know anything about the culture. She doesn't know anything about the religion. And I'm not here trying to say, oh, I'm going to replace you. No, you have options. You guys can go and do other things. You can save yourself.
Okay.
So save yourself. God, this woman makes absolutely no sense. But I think she's lying about that whole teaching her daughter about Pakistan. Because I think in another debate where she debated this Muslim guy, I think she did say she talks with her daughter about that stuff and about the culture. I might be remembering it wrong, but I think she did.
Oh, all you have to do is take a rudimentary look at the data around the world and all of the different Western countries in Australia, America, Canada, United Kingdom, all of Western Europe, these places. Birth rates plummeting, okay? Birth rates are plummeting in these different places, and also in Eastern Asian countries, in China, like you just mentioned as well, birth rates are plummeting, Japan, South Korea. But the places that are getting more and more people is Pakistan, or Pakistan, as you say, or India, or Africa, or the Middle East, these different places. They're getting more and more people because they breed a lot. So if you are having a demographic crisis in the Western nations, which is happening, the native Western populations are having a demographic crisis. The way in which they're remedying that, because of this democracy that you love so much, because they only want short-term fixes for long-term solutions, they're bringing in lots of immigrants. Justin Trudeau is the worst culprit for this, maybe in the entire world, along with the British. They're bringing in all of these different immigrants, and these immigrants are from places that don't exactly hold your feminist values. So I still actually don't know what your solution to this is. You might say, yeah, it's not my problem, it's a man's problem. Well, it's going to be your problem, because the Canada is not going to go completely extinct, but the Canadian population and the Canadian ideals as you know them will go extinct. That's going to happen. So is your solution, what I know, from what I've heard, your solution is A, baby factories, or B, become Pakistan and it's not my problem. What's your solution? I'd love to know.
You're just putting words in my mouth that I want everybody to become Pakistan. I have no roots from Pakistan. I am the biggest critic of Pakistan and the religion up there. So I don't even know where you're getting all that from. Like I said, you mentioned Pakistan, you mentioned India. Even if you go in Pakistan, it's declining. The birth rate everywhere where women are getting educated, the birth rate has declined. besides from Africa, where women are not educated and they still suffer. So I know you're talking about men breeding. So now in Islam, you can have 4 wives. So now 4 wives plus 4 kids, of course they're going to outbreed you. That is how it is. What needs to be happening that we don't want that system in Canada. Why do we have 4 wives in Canada and them breeding? So it's not my fault that the government is not keeping checks and balances. They should be doing that. And it wasn't just Justin Trudeau. This whole thing was started by his father long time ago. Okay. And when Britishers also brought in all these immigrants with them, it was for their own benefit. Remember, they were ruling over the Indians for the longest time, right? So they brought them as their slaves at that time, but they didn't think that these immigrants are actually going to get education and they're actually going to contribute into the society. A lot of immigrants that were brought into Canada and US is full of immigrants, like all over the place. So you can't say that only Pakistanis, even some Pakistanis have contributed too. A lot of Indians in US you see have good jobs and they have contributed a lot towards the society. So you can't just paint all that over and over. You keep saying that I want to make this Pakistan. If I wanted to make this Pakistan, I would have stayed there. I enjoy the country this is, and I will fight till my last breath to keep it the way it is.
She'll fight. Yeah, how? How will you fight? Also, too, he didn't say that you wanted to make it into Pakistan. He's saying that if the birth rates don't go up, it will turn into Pakistan because countries like Canada are just going to be like, well, let's just bring in a bunch of foreign citizens over here from those countries, from Pakistan and stuff like that, in order to replace the population. And when you do enough of that, as you're seeing in Europe right now, they take over, and yeah, then it becomes Pakistan.
Okay, India was a good colony. That is true. But first of all, 3.6 births per woman is the Pakistani birth rate. So it's like at least double most of the Western countries. Yes, it is going down, but it is still 3.6. But I want to just highlight for everybody, I want to give a brief summary of what has just been said here. She is trying to argue the case that feminism does good for society. I'm trying to argue the case that feminism does bad for society. I am saying that we are having a major demographic problem and that I actually care about the ideals of the country that I live in, Australia, and plus of the other Western countries. These are countries that come from a history of different Greek philosophy and art and Roman governance and law and Christian ethics and morality. These are great societies. They're not like other places, okay? They're not like other places. I would like to keep these societies great. She has said the demographic collapse, the birth rate problem is not a problem, okay? I'm saying that that is a problem. She is saying that the solution to the problem is baby factories, or it's just like, yeah, we'll try and throw some government money at it. Doesn't work, by the way, and I'm being charitable here. Or she's saying, well, eventually it just sort of becomes Pakistan, and doesn't really matter because it's not my problem. That's essentially what she's saying. She's essentially a nihilist. She's saying that she doesn't care about these problems. She doesn't care about the eventual conclusion of these problems. She doesn't care about the logical conclusion of these problems. I'm saying that I do. So, audience, please tell me. I would love to know, what is feminism? This ideology here, is that harmful for society or is that good for society? Because for me, it sounds like she's saying that she doesn't care if society goes extinct.
Yeah, it completely does, like she's saying that, but of course she's going to deny that.
No, I never said that the society
See?
goes extinct. I like the system that I live in. I came here and I will defend it. Okay. And stop saying that I want to turn it into Pakistan, because I do want to turn it into Pakistan. I've said it over and over again. I don't know, maybe it
Okay.
doesn't process in your brain. You have to see, the thing is, the easiest thing men can do, they can't poop feminism. Oh, I couldn't eat feminism. Everything is a problem of feminism. The birth rate's not only declining because of feminism. There's a lot of factors that go into the declining birth rate. Maybe men should do a little better, right? But men don't want to change. Men don't want to change anything about themselves. They just want to blame women because they see women having some human rights. How dare we have human rights now? Right. So I'm not saying that I don't care your thing is going to die or you're going to extinct. We're not going to, human species are not going anywhere for a while. Okay. If you're talking about the whole world. And I already gave you a solution. Yeah, it depends. If you want that whole family structure and all that, you have to ask yourself the question, why the women are not having kids? It's not only because of feminism, it's because of you men not stepping up to the plate. And we've experienced it in the past. And we don't want to go through that. Even if you ask the older women from back in the days, and they will tell you, don't have kids. Don't ruin your lives. Focus on your future. Why do these older women from back in the days where you say that women were very happy, give us these advices, you know?
Mhm.
So you guys have to step up the plate. Don't blame everything on feminism.
You are absolutely right. I could not agree with you more. All of these women are giving advice to these younger women to not have kids. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you substantiating my point of view there.
Yeah, because on one hand she says it's men, right? Oh, it's men not stepping up to the plate, but then she says, "Oh, it's actually the older women telling the younger women not to have kids." Oh, so which is it, lady? Is it men not stepping up, or is it the older women?
Because we don't have any matrons in society. We don't have any women with the wisdom and the discernment to tell younger women, listen, I know that you're pretty right now. You have some nice boobs. You have a nice bum. Okay. But you can't use that sexual prowess to just get everything you want, all of your material expedient desires. You can't use it for that. You actually have to use it in pursuit of something greater. We don't have those matrons in society anymore. What we now have is a bunch of women that were the product of the sexual revolution telling women, do what you want all the time with no consequences. Don't worry about a family. Don't worry about a legacy, anything like that. Now, I also never said, Mahleej, that it was just feminism. But what we are arguing about is feminism. If we were arguing about if men need to step up, then we could have that conversation. But what we're arguing about is, in fact, feminism. So, feminism is the idea of dismantling patriarchal structures. All of the most famous feminists throughout society, throughout history, have always said that the family is inherently oppressive in and of itself. And in order for women to be properly liberated, they need to be liberated from the shackles of their loving family, from the shackles of their adoring children and their providing husbands. Okay. That's what feminism has always been about. So that is destroying the nuclear family in one way. Now, there are other things in terms of the birth rates. You could say that urbanization is another big contributor. The fact that we're living in smaller places, life is becoming a little bit more expensive. Sure, but that's not what we're arguing. What we're arguing about is if feminism is harmful or if it's doing good. Now, your ultimate argument here is essentially can be summarized in 3 words. I don't care. That's ultimately what your argument is. I don't care. Because all of these problems that are happening, you're saying, I don't care. I would rather that women are having the dopamine receptors in their brain firing rather than there being any sort of continuity of civilization. That's essentially your argument.
No, that's not my argument. My argument, and it's not like I don't care. I care. I care for human beings. And as a human being and as a woman, I want the same rights that a man has. And you don't want that, right? If a woman chooses, feminism is all about choice. If a woman chooses to have kids and have a
Real quick, can these feminists get it? Are they able to actually discern like what having rights is versus the duties are? Like they think when we say, "Hey, women should be mothers and wives," and their main duty in society is to, raise the children and take care of the home and such. They take that. They always say like they conflate it with, "Oh, well, you want to take away my rights," as if we're saying, "Yeah, we want to make it illegal for women to have jobs or something." When no one is arguing that, but that's what they always go to is like, "You're taking away my rights." So again, we say, hey, men should be fathers. Men should go out there, develop skills so they can get a good woman and raise a good family and take care of that family, get a good income, go out and work so they could do these things. No one's saying, oh, well, you want to take away men's rights. Like no one says that. But for some reason, these women, they seem to always conflate the two. Like they always conflate duties and responsibilities with rights. And so is there a single woman, like a single feminist here that actually understands the difference or not? Because I haven't seen it yet.
family, nobody is stopping her from doing it. But there are consequences to that, right? And we've seen in the past what happens. Our grandmothers, our mothers, they raised a bunch of kids. I still know the system that you want. I have seen it in Pakistan. Women are still suffering. They can't get a divorce. They can't. So they're stuck in abusive marriages. They're stuck in such bad marriages and they can't get out. And that's exactly how we were here too. So, like I said, you keep blaming the birth rates on feminism, but it's not that. It's the women. I'm not the only one saying this. It's the women that don't care. You keep telling about what is it, South Korea, that the women have started this, the new movement where they're like, we don't want to have your kids, we don't want to get married, you want to extinct, you can extinct. So it's basically all women saying that we don't care. You want to reproduce, go reproduce, right? But we're not going to reproduce anymore because we saw what we got from reproducing. the absent fathers, the violence against women. You couldn't get a divorce, like all these things. So there is a little, a lot of factors to it, but
Right.
you just keep coming to one point over and over
I
again.
love
Okay,
this.
so
Also, she keeps talking about Pakistan. She keeps talking about how it is in Pakistan. Okay, well, we don't live in Pakistan, lady, and we're not talking about making it like Pakistan. Talking about two different things. But again, like these feminists, they always like to conflate the two.
I love this. It's amazing, honestly. So you're saying that. So even if this is the 3B movement that you're talking about in South Korea. It's a social movement. It's not as big as people make it out to be. But even if that is the case, you are telling me that it's a bunch of women who have gotten together and said, "I got all this freedom. I'm going to stop having children." Okay, we're just going to stop having children because we got all this freedom. So, I mean, talk about an argument to put the shackles on a little bit more. Talk about an
No,
argument to
and you
tighten
know
the
what?
reins
I
a little
loved
bit.
it.
That's a great argument to tighten the reins a little bit. And I'm actually not finished. So we'll keep going. But this argument about the 3B movement in South Korea, that you're just making my point that women make terrible decisions. What was what were the other arguments you said? I actually forgot because I was so
Hold on,
entertained by
one
that
sec.
one. What were the other things that you said there? I need to address them.
Hang on. For you, it's a bad decision.
think
For
he's
men, it's a
asking- I think
problem. For
he's
women, they
asking-
think it's
I
not.
think he's asking what other points because he'd like to address some of the other ones that he had forgotten, which you had said.
Yeah, I forgot one point also that he was talking about. So in Jake's mind, a woman is only
Hold on.
sexual.
I think he's saying
Right.
that like he's asking what was so basically like he gave you approximately like 90 seconds, and so he's trying to
I
remember.
had basically just said
How's it
that,
going, Ken?
this is women are choosing now that we don't want to have kids because we've seen what happens, when you're our grandparents or our grandmothers, we saw what happened. So they're just choosing not to have kids anymore because we don't want to put up with that.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah,
like
sure.
I
I mean,
said,
You remember
that might not be a big movement yet,
Okay.
but believe
I
me,
want to give
it's going
Jake
to
the
get
remainder of his 90
Look,
seconds.
Yeah, look, I have no doubt that the propaganda is going to keep on spreading. I mean, you saw what happened. I mean, you had great, thriving civilizations where the nuclear families were all intact, and where great civilizations were built. The whole entire Western world. In fact, this Western world that you've migrated to, and you have come in begging them to protect you from Pakistan. You've come into this country and you've said, you know what? We don't want to have kids because we've seen what has happened. What has happened is this amazing society, this once amazing society that you have now come and migrated to, and you're begging them to protect you. That's what happened. But if you want to dismantle it, then sure, talk about being ungrateful. But I mean, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that women will do this if given the decisions. But also, it just goes to show that they're kind of malleable at the end of the day. Women are very impressionable. So if they're going to be given all this feminist propaganda, which is exactly what you're talking about here, about how it's bad to have a family and about how your husband's just going to beat you up and leave you chained to the oven, this was never the case, ever. So they're just eating up a whole entire propaganda narrative. That is just not the case. The most safe place that a woman can be
Kick
is
it over
in
to
a nuclear
Mahleej
family environment.
for Molly.
Later on, Jake says that she watched Thelma and Louise, and that's where she gets all her propaganda. And I thought that was hilarious.
60% of cases where a woman is found dead is either her husband, her father, or her brother. So
Yeah, she brings up this stat where it's 60% of women found dead. It's either done by her husband, father, or brother. And again, where is this stat from? And is it in Western countries? Because yeah, I believe that in Pakistan, you're more likely to die by your husband, father, or brother. Over there, in those countries, they do like honor killings and stuff. But over here, I get 60% of women die by their husbands, fathers, or brothers. Yeah, I'm pressing X to doubt on that one, lady. I wonder where she got this stat from.
it's only 40% of strange men that we have to need protection from. And you keep saying, protect me from this and that.
Women are either dying from their fathers, brothers, or sisters, or fathers, brothers, and husbands, or strange men. But 100% of women are dying from men.
Asylum program, the refugee program that Canada offered me, I came here. And since I came here, I have contributed into the system. I pay taxes, which pays the police who protect me. I don't need a man to protect me here, because there's a lot of times men can't protect themselves. They have to also call police, right? That comes to protect them. So I don't know why you keep saying that I come here and I beg. I love Canada. I love the opportunity that they gave me, and I'll forever be grateful. But for you to keep pushing that on my face, trying to get people all this propaganda, like you say. And we're very impressionable. Yes, because women can't think for themselves. We have to be told, right?
Wait, did she say that seriously?
Our personal experiences, our friends' experiences, all this doesn't matter. For you to say the safest place for a woman to be is at home, maybe you should see the stats. 60% of men that have killed their wives. We are actually not safer at home, right? So you're saying like we weren't tied up to the home and to the kitchen, to all that. That's what you want. You want us at home. You don't want us working. You want us at home, raising kids, cooking food. That's what you want. And women are saying, we don't want to do that. If that's what you want, we don't want to do it. And it's not only me saying this, actually, if you were to put it that way, my country is still having babies. It's the white women and other women in other countries that are like, no, we're not going to do it. Same thing, even in blacks, they don't want to have kids. They were having kids more, but even their reproduction has gone down. Asians, their reproduction has gone down. I told you, wherever women get educated, the reproduction goes down.
Okay. By educated, she means brainwashed, though.
Yes, you're exactly right. Wherever women get educated, the reproduction goes down. Therefore, we should be incentivizing women to not go into higher education and to focus on family. So therefore, the reproduction won't go down. And eventually this culture that you've come on your hands and knees begging to be a part of won't go extinct and become Pakistan, which is the entailment of your worldview. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Also, researchers have consistently shown over the years that rates of violence in cohabiting compared with marital relationships is always much higher. So marital relationships is always much lower in terms of the abuse statistics. So the safest place that a woman can be is not in a single mother household. It's not in a boss babe single life coming home from work at 11 p.m. walking through the city. It is with a husband and her biological children. That's the safest place that a woman can be. But I just don't understand how you even get past this. You are arguing for women to be in higher education and to be in the workforce. You just admitted that everywhere you go where women are in higher education, birth rates go down. Birth rates go down, population get replaced. Population get replaced, Pakistan. Please square that circle for me.
First of all, there's maybe like, I don't even know, maybe I have to check how many Pakistanis have come in Canada. If anything, it would be taken over by Indians or Chinese before Pakistanis take over. So again, you saying that I want to turn this place into Pakistan, again, no, you want to turn it into Pakistan because the men in Pakistan say the same thing that you're saying. Women should not get educated because God forbid, woman gets educated, she's going to know about her body. She's going to know about her rights. They don't want that. They want women in the kitchen having babies. That's what they do. Our right wingers in Pakistan, the Islamists, they give us examples of you guys, the right wingers, because you guys are aligned on the same page. And I'm not going to turn Canada into that, but some right wingers here that are very conservative want women to go backwards like we were in Pakistan. I don't care if it's Pakistanis, if it's you, or if it's another Asian that wants this. Yes, education is very important. You know why? Because when you get married at 25 and 10 years later, that man finds somebody younger and leaves you, guess where you are? Guess where you're left with nothing, with the kids, with no education. And God forbid you go on OnlyFans and do something, then you're also labeled as a single mother and a prostitute. No one's going to question that man, right? So you need that education to lie upon so you can support your own self.
I completely agree. Men should not just be able to leave women. Men should have a responsibility. And this is the way that it used to be back when men could go to prison for leaving their children and leaving their family and not taking care of them. But this also meant that women were more dependent on their husbands. So this actually, I completely agree with you, but I think that we just view this in a different lens completely. And also, I think we established at the start of this that Pakistanis are majority inbred. So I don't want to be compared with a country that is majority inbred. Okay. All sorts of different problems going on there. I don't want women to wear burqas. I don't want to stone a woman to death. if she gets R-worded, okay? I don't want any of these things to happen. So please, Pakistan, inbred, stoning Fatima to death, different to what we want over here. So it's like apples and oranges.
See, again, I am totally against the inbreeding, but let's not even talk about it, because I can talk about the Latter-day Saints and then other Christian people that were found here inbreeding in their own kids. What is that here? Those people, this Amish people. You should see how many inbreeding goes on in there. Let's not talk about the southern states in US. So much inbreeding goes on there, which I'm totally against, and from Pakistan too, right? I'm not comparing you as I'm talking about your ideologies and what you want to restrict women of. They don't want women education, and that's why a huge number of women don't get educated in Pakistan, and I'm totally against it. You know why? Because women need to support themselves. I already gave you that example. That men do leave, they walk out, and they get nothing in return. So it is very important for a woman to have at least decent education so she can support herself if that scenario arises. But that's what the whole thing is. The feminism that I believe in gives you the choice. If you want to get married, you can get married. However, Jake earlier said that when you're 25 and your boobs are perked up, that's the only value us women have. And we were like, more
That's not what he
sexual,
said at
so
all.
we better use.
Oh, like, yeah, that's not what he said at all. He's saying that you should use that value for better things, not just trying to get just not trying to get these short-term things. Actually, try to use those assets, if you will, if you want to put it like that, to obtain something greater.
It at that time, because God forbid we expire after 25 or 30 and we're single. No man wants us then, because all these 40-year-old men want 18 and 20-year-olds, right? Yeah, in Pakistan they want 9-year-olds, by the way, so which I'm totally against.
Another reason to not compare us to Pakistan and to
No, but you don't want women to go to
religion.
school, right? You don't want
What?
women to go to school.
When did I say I don't want women to go to school?
You say you don't want women having higher education because it's a problem.
No, I said that I think that women should be disincentivized from going into higher education, but you just conflated and said that I don't want women to go to school. I think.
But
that
why do you not want them in
women
higher
always
education?
were educated in America, for example. Women always were educated, and in many studies and statistics, it shows that women were more educated than men. They had better high school education rates than men, so that's just a delusion. That never happened. This is not Pakistan. No one's trying to marry a 9-year-old. That doesn't happen over here. So anyways, but in terms of the voting though, I actually want you to tell me why your system is better, because in my system, there would be age restrictions on voting. There would be civics tests with voting. You would have to be a net contributor to society and not just taken from society. And you would have to be actually having skin in the game in terms of property, for example. If you want to vote on property matters, then you should own property. So tell me why your system of universal suffrage is actually better than my system.
Well, no, I actually agree on a lot of things with you. However, I think everybody at, there should be an age restriction. Maybe you're 18. I think that's just perfect the way it is. Property we're talking about is, so more single women own property now than men. So we should get a right to vote. I myself own a property, and I think it's important for me to vote because I'm a part of the system. I got to figure out if my roads are done, if my sewer is working or not, So I have to be part of that voting system. However, I've also heard these men, in US, in Canada, saying that women shouldn't vote at all. I totally disagree with that. We are hugely contributing into the economy, and we should have our right to vote.
Yeah, I don't believe in a gendered voting system. I believe that you have to have skin in the game. So you have to, I think the ideal would be one family, one vote. So if you have a family, the man votes because the man is the head of the household. But then there are other constrictions as well. And this is generally.
Look at her. She's like, family? No way. Like, she would still look at her face. Like, she would still be getting a say, but it would be the husband going out and casting the vote because he's the head of the household. That's when she's like, no way. I have to vote. But this logic, though, is like, well, I have to have a say in everything that happens. There's a lot of things, even on our voting system as the way it is right now. There's a lot of laws that affect us that we actually don't have any say on already. So I don't understand the logic. They're like, well, I have to have a say in it. It's like, well, we don't have a say in everything. Even the system as it stands now, we don't have a say in everything.
speaking, in the US, for example, they've got the different states. The different states had different voting laws, but you had things like if you had property, if you're a property owner, you could be able to vote, etc. But I want you to actually tell me what your voting system, because it sounds like you're in favor of universal suffrage. So why is your system better?
What do you mean my system? I'm happy with the Canadian system the way it is. I don't want anything to be changed here.
I know that,
voting,
and I'm saying why is it better?
voting age is 18, and that's it. I think it's already working perfectly. Yeah, and that's a democratic way. I'm all for it. I don't want to change it. You want to change it. You want to say, oh, men is the head of the house. So a lot of times they're not, they're not even making that much money. Women are now making a lot of money. A lot of women are the breadwinners. They should make the decision. Anybody that is spending more money and contributing towards the society, I think should be then. So if a woman is making more than the man, then she should be the one going and voting.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the question again. I'm saying why? Because I hope you understand that your system, in terms of universal suffrage, the system that you support, and the Canadian system, for example, that's been around for all of 5 minutes. That's very new, actually. So tell me, why is your system better than my system?
I don't know. What are you talking about? My system, Canadian system is different than Australian system.
The system that you just advocated for.
Yeah, it's not different. Like you
So
said that
universal suffrage.
No, you wanted the voting system. Only the man can vote, and certain people should be able to vote. Certain people that are, I guess, not contributing to the society shouldn't be able to vote and stuff. Whereas I say it should be the age restriction. Yes, you can, in a way where I would put a stop to it. If you're a newcomer here and you don't know anything about the government and stuff, I don't think you should be able to vote, which I'm against it. But if you're a Canadian citizen and you've been here contributing to the society, even if you are on welfare, you should have a say.
Okay. So
even if you're on welfare, you should have a say. What?
Why is yours better than mine is the question.
So imagine if people are working and paying their taxes to cover your welfare, and there's a vote, right? There's a vote saying, hey, should we keep the welfare system? And you're giving the people that are benefiting from the welfare system like a vote in that and what the taxpayers do with their money, right?
I don't know. Tell me, what is your system?
I just told you that there would be all different kinds of restrictions on voting. I don't believe in universal suffrage, that somebody turns 18, some retard who goes for sushi with their friends and who has blue hair and who eats tofu. I don't understand why these people have to be voting at 18 years old when they're talking about dismantling the patriarchy and overthrowing capitalism with their blue-haired Marxist friends in their university halls. I don't understand why those people vote. That doesn't make any sense to me. So age, civics tests, being a net contributor, property matters, and then you've also got family as well. That could be another one where you have one vote, one family. People who actually have skin in the game.
Did you have that system before?
Yeah, you did have a lot of those systems.
How did that work out?
It was fantastic.
According to who?
I mean, so back, just for example, you go back into the history of different Western countries. And by the way, there was no universal suffrage really, like until the 1920s for a lot of these countries. But there wasn't too much difference between men and women. In the US, it was maybe a little bit more, but they had different states who came in at different times. But in older times in the United States, you had more intact nuclear families, you had higher birth rates, and these are just two of the key markers in terms of a healthy society: intact nuclear families and intact birth rates where your society is actually propagating. Society used to be a lot better.
That's according to you, right? There's no data.
Well, it's not according to Alfred over here. It's according to me because I'm in the debate. Yes.
Okay, yes, according to you. For you, families, the nuclear family that you call it, a lot of women were not happy in those families. I don't know what you're talking about. Like
prove it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, with that argument she tried to use on Jake, well, according to you, well, yeah, according to you too. She uses a lot of like anecdotal, like, well, because her mother or grandmothers told her, hey, listen, I shouldn't have had kids or whatever she says. That doesn't mean that women everywhere in general were like, yeah, screw having kids, screw being wives and mothers and all this stuff. It's just stuff that she's pulling out of her ass.
Yes.
Prove it.
Well, you can't, because there was no way to prove it. You prove it to me that they were happier. You prove it to me with the data that they were happier. The women were happier.
Sure. Okay. Women are more heavily medicated today than they ever have been. And generally speaking, the most heavily medicated women are women who are 30s, 40s, 50s with no family, no husband.
Men are also committing more suicides. There's a lot of
That's not what we're talking about.
factors that depend
Yeah.
on
Yeah, and that actually goes to more of Jake's point. If more men are committing suicide, that actually goes more to Jake's point of how people are just unhappier nowadays because of how feminism kind of just came and fucked everything up.
medication. Before, we didn't even have a lot of symptoms that women have, and even in general, in men have. We didn't even diagnose those back in the days. Right now, we actually have a diagnosis. Women also go through a lot of stress. Women also go through PTSD. We go through a lot of emotions, right? So
Yep.
it's not only that we're just getting heavily. It's not only to the feminists. We are working more. It's getting expensive. There's inflation. There's a lot of contributions to that. Men are also committing a lot more suicides. Why are men dropping dead, especially the single ones? Right?
I love it. You're like an advocate for my position.
Yeah.
Tell me, why is that? Why is feminism to blame for that? You can't give me a data that says the women back in the 50s or 20s, 1920s were way happier than they are now. Just
You
because
actually
they
just
weren't
made
taking medication. You know what they were doing? They were probably sniffing coke. You didn't even know. They were heavily drinking. That's what they were smoking cigarettes. Remember, everywhere. So
I know, I get it. I get it. No, look, I understand you've watched Thelma and Louise. I get it. You've watched some of the Thelma and Louise movies, and this is where you get your sort of idea of what it looked like back then.
Actually, I don't even know
get
what
it.
that is. Actually, I don't even know what that show
I
is.
get it. You've watched the movies, and this is where you got this from. But yes,
Well, yeah, she watched Handmaid's Tale. She watched Selma and Louise. Maybe she watched that movie Fear with Mark Wahlberg, huh? You know, where he was like a crazy stalker boyfriend who was violent and abusive. Maybe she watched things like that. She's like, oh my gosh, men, they're terrible.
So you just said that men are killing themselves at a much higher rate. Well, I would actually argue that one of the things that creates this sort of ideation in men is having a lack of meaning and having a lack of purpose in life. And generally speaking, where men are going to get meaning and purpose from is from, and it might sound funny to you, I'm not sure why it's funny to you, but where men are going to get meaning and purpose from is having a family and having
Thanks
people to
for
provide
dropping
for
by,
and having
Ken.
people to actually support. So the lack of the nuclear family, I would actually say, and the lack of purpose and the lack of actual sort of vision that a man can have for his life and the lack of structure that we have these days actually is a contributor to that. And men are much more lonely these days, I would say. So there's that. And also, it's just a fact that women are much more heavily medicated these days. I mean, they're the most medicated people in the world, these women who are childless. So, like, why is that?
I don't know. There's a lot of contributions to that. I don't know. You'll have to show me the data. I know a lot of women that don't have kids and have kids, and they're not on any kind of medication. Like I said,
That you know
we
of.
do have a lot of hormone issues. You know, you don't know what's going on in somebody's body or whatever is going on. Secondly, like again, I'm going to tell you, a lot of these things people had before too, but they were not diagnosed. There was no diagnosis. There was no medication for it. So now that's why you see it. More people having it, right? Same, like I'm going to say the same thing again for the men. They're killing. And yes, men are lonely. I was laughing because you're like, men need a purpose. Do you know how many men out there are still going around? They don't want purpose. They're all judging women. Oh, you do this. Oh, we don't want this. So, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Women choose, and you get, if you want that purpose, then act like it, right? Women can't find good partners because men don't want to contribute anymore. They want to be, actually, they want to be the females. All the men I come across, they want to be the females.
I mean, some of the things she says helps Jake's point. Like, yeah, if there are men that want to be the females, well, that's because of feminism. Feminism teaches men, masculinity is awful. It's toxic. You need to, feminize yourself. You have to ask women permission for anything on a date, like everything, just to give them a little smooch on the cheek. You got to ask permission. You got to do all these things. Where before, I mean, it's pretty basic. Like, yeah, just like you don't grape women, pretty simple. But now it's like, did you get consent to hold her hand? Did you get consent to kiss her on the cheek? Did you get the consent to look at her? Like, it's totally emasculating to men. And then they complain, well, why are men so feminized? Yeah, it's because of feminism. And then also too, because women are getting more college degrees now. Like, they're women are also starting to out earn men in the workplace and such. And yeah, and then they complain, well, why are men not stepping up more?
This is a point that
And
we
then
can
again,
actually chew on.
you can blame this on men because they're not finding purpose. Like, what
Yeah.
should we do?
Look, this is actually something that we could come to some sort of a mild agreement with. I think that we can actually have something to nibble on here, okay? You and I together at a nice restaurant, okay? Listen, so you're
Jake
saying
shooting a
that
shot.
all of these societal contributors, all of these different factors mean that women would love to find a good partner and they would love to be provided for and they would love to be protected, but these factors here, well, women are sort of pulling away. But then you're saying men don't want this. They don't want the purpose, right? All of these societal contributions and these societal factors here, they're all there. But the reason why men aren't leaning in is because, well, they don't want it. But women would love to have it. But it's the societal factors. Don't you think men would also like to have this if women weren't trading around like hoes on the internet all day and if they were actually
Yeah,
marriage material? Don't you
exactly.
think that men would also lean into it if those societal factors were different?
I think men have a double standard, right? Men have double standards.
See, her go-to is just blame men. Blame men.
They want all these hoes online because who makes them hoes? First of all, it's all the men watching them. It's not the women going around watching them. They want all these hoes, but they want them only for one night stand, right? They only want to, bang them and just move away and walk away. And then they're gonna look for and define a hoe. Because I don't know. I see some women that posted in a dress and men are calling her a prostitute and attention seeker and this and that. So if you're going to go that way, then yes, women are going to, take back. You have to understand, like I had this guy the other day and he was like, women have too many standards. Like they want this, they want gifts, they want this, they want that. And I'm like, why are you shopping for a Ferrari when you can only afford a Honda? I know of tons of women that are poor that would love to marry you. Okay, this was a Pakistani guy. And I'm like, but do you go in those slums looking for those girls? No, you don't go looking for those girls. You go looking for the girls that are high maintenance, that are out of your reach. Go for the ones that are there. Women are there, but men are still manipulating women, like the same things that I keep hearing from women over and over again. Men are still not serious. They're not serious. They're not. You keep saying it. Where are these serious men? They're cheating. The biggest thing we saw was those two couples cheating. Look at that CEO. He was still cheating. And I mean, both of them, I would say, are rotten human beings for cheating. Both of them, men and that woman. But no, men have to step up. They really
See, everything's men's fault. Men have to step up. Men have to stand down. Men have to do this. Men have to do that. Again, absolutely zero responsibility in her point of view for women to do anything. And this is the type of mindset that feminism has brought upon us. It's just this mindset where women don't have to be responsible for anything. They don't have to have any duties. They just have all the rights. They have the right to do whatever the hell they want. And if we tell them, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, or maybe you have a duty here in society to do this, oh, well, that's oppressive, then you want to take our rights away. Pretty much Pakistan 2.0 over here. And again, this woman right here, no responsibility whatsoever. She even just said right there that men are the reason why women hoe around. Okay. Again, men are just to blame for everything. And this is exactly the type of mindset that feminism has brought upon this propaganda, this notion that women should just be able to do whatever the hell they want. And if we dare suggest anything to the contrary, that they have any sort of responsibilities or duty whatsoever, Handmaid's Tale, oppression, Thelma and Louise. Absolutely ridiculous. It's good to know Mahleej hasn't improved in her debate skills at all. Uh, Annoying, obnoxious woman. And Jake, I thought, did a great job here of dismantling her arguments and absolutely wrecked her. If you want to see the full debate, it is up on the Modern Day Debates channel. There's a lot more debate left to see here. There's a lot more funny moments here. And it is on the Modern Day Debates channel. The Modern Day Debates channel, I have a link in the description down below. If you like this video, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. If you really liked it, I have more debates just like this one. I have more Jake Rattlesnake debates. I have more modern day debates. I also even have other Mahleej debates where she took on Andrew Wilson. It's all up on my channel for your enjoyment. Also, watch the Cool Stream live Mondays through Fridays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time.